Frios has 22 standard flavors along with 18 rotating/seasonal flavors. Do you guys get to decide which ones are on your truck, or if so, how do you make those determinations? Hey there, Omaha. Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and if you see a tie-dye van driving around Omaha, you're going to want to take notice of where this thing is going, because it's either going to be some really interesting hippie who probably has a cool story, or it's the Frios truck, and they've got ice cream popsicles on the inside of it. These are things that you're going to want to try. These ice cream fruit pops, they look kind of like a basic popsicle at first, but now that I've had them and experienced just like how different they are, I am really excited to learn more about them. And to do that today, I've got the owners of the Frios Omaha franchise. That is Chris and Liz Alford. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
I think we have to start here, and that's just for someone who's never experienced a Frios pop before, how would you describe it to them?
It is the oh wow experience. It's the reinvention of the popsicle. Literally, anytime somebody gets one, they take a bite, they go, oh, wow. It's unexpected.
Yeah, everyone thinks that you think of a popsicle growing up, right? And it's just super icy. It's not real flavor. And I think that's what people think when you say popsicle. But when we talk about gourmet pops, it's, hey, this is really ice cream on a stick. It's different. The flavors are different. We've got different ingredients in it. And, yeah, it's just incredible.
That was what most surprised me, is that, yeah, it was creamy. It didn't have any of that iciness like you talk about. So it's almost like mind-bending a little bit, because you're like, ice cream isn't thick enough to adhere to a stick like this, that I should be able to eat it in this form, and yet a popsicle isn't creamy enough to have this, this rich velvety texture, and yet somehow both those things come together on a stick when I eat this, and it doesn't make sense, but I don't care that it doesn't make sense. I just want to eat it and enjoy it.
As long as it's good, yeah.
It's just good. Yeah.
So right off the bat, I just want to talk about, you guys are franchisees of the overall Frios Corporation, which is nationwide. How does that work exactly? What does that partnership look like between you and Frios?
Yeah, it's great. The Frios team is great. They're based in Alabama. They've been around about 5 years. And so we joined last year as basically we have the rights to Nebraska, but obviously because we live in Omaha, we live in Elkhorn, we started in Omaha. And what it looks like is obviously the system is all figured out as far as we work with the team in Alabama for producing the pops. Everything's hand-poured. But they basically put it on dry ice and then 2-day ship it to us so that we get our product here. And then from there, we've got tie-dye trucks, we've got carts, we've got everything then to go and deliver the pops. So they've given us obviously an idea of what places we should reach out to, but really it's just up to us to then go out and build the business, make connections, and do a lot of free samples, especially in the first year, just helping people understand the product. But yeah, once the pops land here, then it's on us to introduce people to our business and, yeah, start building it out.
Now, I know that you guys you've done training. I think you visited corporate headquarters, I saw on your social media. Have they broken down the science on exactly how these pops work, or is that still a trade secret that they keep close to the vest?
I think the actual recipes are trade secrets, but it's pretty simple from hey, we use real ingredients. It's hand-poured. It's not a giant manufacturing facility where these things are mass-produced. So you'll see it in the pops. Some of them will look a little bit different. For the most part, the quality assurance is there, so it's not like they're all misshapen or anything. But they are literally hand-poured. The recipes, I think, are the only thing that's secret. But otherwise, like we say right on the wrapper, the strawberry mango has real strawberries, real mango, and then simple syrup. So it's not like it's not a lot of secret things in there. It's just real stuff. When we do our watermelon pop, they have to get local watermelons, local to Alabama, so they have to be ripe enough. So it's like a certain time of the year just so that they can put those into the pop.
Okay. So I love that you went there, because you keep mentioning real ingredients, and I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, that makes sense for the fruit pops. Like, strawberry, mango, watermelon, things like that. Yeah, of course. But like when we're talking about, mint chip or key lime pie, I mean, I guess that would have key limes in it. But some of the other flavors that aren't necessarily fruity, like what do real ingredients mean? Because I know that this company, it's very strict about not using artificial binders or sweeteners or things like that. So what do real ingredients look like when it's not just fruit?
I think that really comes through, like, for example, in the chocolate pop. Like, we did a comparison of a standard fudge pop that you would get from the grocery store and our chocolate pop. And, the standard one had an ingredients list this long of mostly things that you cannot pronounce. And you had ours, and it was cream, cacao, sugar, milk, and then there were a few gums, to hold it together, like guar gum, pretty standard stuff. And that was it. Like, that's the real ingredients. So I think that's the big difference.
Or even like when it says, like, we have a Fruity Pebbles pop. So not surprising, it's the actual Fruity Pebbles cereal and ice cream or cream and sugar and things like that. Or key lime, although, it's fruit again, but you can actually see the real zest in it, and then it has the crust in it because,
graham cracker
of course,
crust.
you want the whole key lime pie. You're not just wanting lime pop, you're wanting key lime pie. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's how we see it coming to life, is that you just...
And you can taste it. Yeah, you can just really taste the difference. So.
And I think that that's something that more and more Americans, I know, talking to chefs, certainly, but I think even just the average consumer is starting to become more aware of is what you're buying a lot of times at the grocery store. I mean, you mentioned the ingredient list.
It's not great.
It can get a little scary. I mean, I've had friends who've gone to other countries and they'll be there for a week and eat there and everything and then come back and they get sick after a day or two of being back here because they're introducing all these preservatives
chemicals.
And chemicals in their food back into their bodies. So to have something that's clean and really straightforward and just say, hey, it's these 4 or 5 ingredients, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Now, if anybody's listening to this and they're like, okay, these sound great, they sound healthy for me, I want to try them, what's the best way for somebody to stay up to date on where the Frios truck or where you guys are going to be?
We post all of our events on our social media accounts. So it's Frios Omaha on Instagram, Facebook, and then, of course, our website is Frios Omaha. But we update it every week so everyone can see what our public events are and where they can find us. And, also, you can just contact me, and I'm not above driving up to your house.
We do deliver. That's true.
We do deliver. I'm happy to feed that craving.
Well, yeah, I know you guys do deliveries. You do events. You do drop-offs. I mean, full transparency, you guys came by the Herdad office and blessed us with pops, and everybody was, like, blown away. So all kinds of different opportunities if somebody wants to not only just try Frios, but have their friends try it as well. Frios has 22 standard flavors along with 18 rotating / seasonal flavors. Do you guys get to decide which ones are on your truck, or if so, how do you make those determinations?
Yeah, so I think we are holding on to anything from like 35 to 40 flavors right now, and so we try to keep a little bit of everything. Obviously, we have the mainstays that are available almost all the time, but yeah, we decide kind of day by day of, hey, what's available and what we feel like the audience, like if we're going to a certain event. So at Junk Stock, we're going to have something a little bit different than if we go to elementary school. They're probably not going to have as many of the red velvets and the banana puddings and the blackberry ginger lemonade, for example. But at a school, they want
pink lemonade, chocolate,
lemonade, strawberry, cookies and creams,
cotton candy.
They can see the picture and they're like, okay, I recognize that color, or I recognize that flavor. But yeah, that's basically, and then every year, as part of the overall Frios family, we start working on, okay, what are the new flavors? Where can we test and go? What innovations do we want to do? So we've got new flavors that we tested for the first time in February that are going to come out throughout the year. And so we're part of that process to help say, okay, what do we feel like our customer is going to want? Really, it comes down to what do we like and what does the rest of the team feel like?
We taste test everything, and we're real honest, and if we're not particularly fond of a flavor, you probably won't find that on our truck.
I absolutely love that honesty, and there was one specifically that I wanted to talk to you about. It's in my notes somewhere, but I believe it was the Arnold Palmer flavor. You guys put this on your Instagram, and I'm watching this, and you guys do a lot of taste tests on Instagram, and I was watching this particular one, and I would expect, franchisees, people who are selling these pops, to just be like, take the bite and be like, whoa, that's so good. I'm getting the lemonade, I'm getting the iced tea. They just come together brilliantly. But you guys were both like, huh. I don't know if I'm really feeling this one. It's like we're getting the sweet tea. If they called it just a sweet tea pop, that'd be great, but not really getting the lemonade so much. And I was like, I love the honesty. I'm shocked by it, but I love it. I guess what kind of inspires you guys to be so real on your social media, not just be like, hey, this is our company, everything's awesome, but be like, hey, we have opportunities to improve as well.
So we used to be in the coffee industry, and I think when you're in front of a coffee bar to the customer and you're trying things, like, it has to be real. There is no barrier there, and so you just, however I'm going to react is how I'm going to react. And so we've taken that mentality to what we do with pops, and it's like, if it's not great, we'll just say it. And I think the first time we realized that we started these taste test Thursdays in our kitchen, and if you look back at the old ones, they're not great.
Terrible.
And I think we forgot to clean up a little bit. We're like, hey, we're just going to shoot. We're just going to show. And I think when we first realized that some of our other Frios franchisees were on our account, was we had the grape one, I think, which is another one we weren't famously into. It's not a bad pop. It just doesn't. It's not the wow that we expect. The bar is so high. But we started hearing from other franchisees. They're like, hey, you were really honest about that. And we're like, oh, I didn't realize people were actually paying attention to it. But I don't think there's any other way to do it.
Well, and I would hate for someone to come up to the truck and get a pop and be disappointed in it. If I'm disappointed in it, for sure the customer's going to be disappointed in it. And we truly, our motto is happiness on a stick. So we don't want anybody to walk away with a pop and not be happy. One time I had a kid come up and say, I want the blueberry. So I gave him a blueberry cheesecake, but he wanted the blue raspberry. And so he came up very disappointed, and we switched that out right away because, once again, we want our customers to have the best experience.
The other thing that keeps us honest, I think, is our kids are heavily involved in our business. So we have 2 teenage girls and a 12-year-old boy. So if you can, even if we weren't authentic and we're like, hey, you need to say it this way, good luck trying to get the teenage girls to say what you want them to say. So when we do the taste test, if they're willing to even be on camera that day or that night, it's just like, whatever they say is what it is. We're just going to go with it. And sometimes it's underwhelming, and it's like, okay, well, people are going to see us running the business. This is what we're all about. So if you don't like that pop, it's okay. We're just going to say it.
Whose idea was Taste Test Thursday?
Chris. He's got the good ideas.
To be honest, it's like, I just want to try the pops. So when you're sitting on 5,000, you're like, oh, what do we need to do? I need an excuse.
I think we need to taste test this one again.
Liz kept giving us a hard time. It's like, the kids and myself. It's like, oh, you're going to have another one today? And it's like, well, yeah, this is the business. Somebody has to try these. And then once we tried all the flavors, I think we needed to come up with a real excuse of, okay, why are we trying this one again? And so it's like, okay, let's help people to experience it. I think that's the challenge. There's not a store you can come into, so of course we can deliver. You can go to an event, but we wanted people to see all of the different flavors we had, so that it would, hey, if they were like, hey, I'm really into this, I want to try that, they'll come find us at Junk Stock or Taste of Omaha or somewhere. So we just felt like that was the way to do it.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing about your business, is that nobody can just stumble into it like they would a normal ice cream shop and be like, oh, I want ice cream. I'm driving by, oh, there's Graylee's, I'm going to go try that. I guess that could happen at an event like a Junk Stock or something like that. But for the most part, if somebody wants to try a Frios pop, they have to seek you out. So you have to be a little bit more intentional and be more out front and be like, hey, here's the root beer float one. I've never tried this one before, or
recently.
Or whatever it might be. Like, let's give this a taste test. And when you give your real honest opinion in it, if you act excited about it and somebody's seeing this continually on their feed, they're more likely to be like, okay, I'm going to start following this person and figure out where I can actually get my hands on this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we started going in that direction of just, okay, people don't want to hear from us on social just constantly saying, hey, buy us, book us, buy us, book us. And so we're just like, let's just tell our story. Let's just share what we're doing as we're doing it. And hopefully, we're really interested in it. We like it. So hopefully we find a following that also is really into it. And I think I mean, it's interesting from a standpoint of where, I'd love to have your opinion on this. Like, delivery, it seems like delivery doesn't really work anymore. Like, I don't know if you want to pay $25 for a burrito to be delivered. It's a lot of work to get it at your home. I get that COVID moved us in that direction, and don't get me wrong, I think that's the part of the future, but I think what the real future is this mobile aspect of, like, especially in Omaha, it's not warm all year round. That's not a controversial opinion. So when it is warm, you just find people are outside in shorts, in sandals from like the minute the snow melts and maybe even a little bit before. And then they just want to live it up the entire summer all the way until hopefully through Halloween. But if it doesn't make it that far, it's like people are going to be outside and they're going to be living it up. And I think people want to have it where they're at. They don't want to have to go stand in line. They want to be at a concert. They want to be at a festival enjoying it. And I think that's what's really interesting about not just our business, but anything that's mobile now. Like, that seems like the future of why not just have what you really want at the moment when you're doing something else outside. I think that's what makes Omaha really special for an ice cream business. Now, obviously, we're seasonal, but when it's go time, it's really go time here.
3 things in response to that, and I hope I remember all these responses and don't forget them and look like an idiot. But if I do, whatever.
If it's 2 or 4, we won't.
People are used to that. 1, I do think delivery is still going to be a huge part of the restaurant industry moving forward. I don't love that, but I know more and more restaurants have kind of been forced to go in that direction and add DoorDash, add Uber Eats, ones that I've spoken with and have said, I don't want to do that. They've been forced to do that now because customers just ask for that all the time. So that is part of it, at least for the foreseeable future. I don't love it, but it is what it is. But to your point, I have also seen a growth in food trucks that more so post up in like the same area. And so customers do expect them. Like, yeah, they can just stumble on them, but they also, like, there's one that parks probably 4 or 5 blocks from my house now, and I drive by it every day, and I see people consistently there every single day. Like, that's become a part of people's routines, and they expect to see that there. Yes, it's mobile, but it's almost like a restaurant now. And 3, in my research, I found a quote from you, Chris, where you were talking about, like, you know, people ask me, why would you start an ice cream business in Omaha where it's cold for at least 3 or 4 months of the year? And you were like, yeah, it's not ideal to have a Frios franchise in January when we're having a massive blizzard, but as soon as it hits April and it's a 50-degree day, not even a warm day, but like it's not 30 degrees, people are putting on their shorts, they're getting outside, and they're saying, I want to enjoy this modicum of nice weather if I can. And that might look like going to the park. It might look like, you know, going to Taste of Omaha, whatever it is. And that's the opportunity that you have because people are excited that I can just go outside and do something. Now I'm out experiencing it like, oh, here's ice cream available to me. Yes, I'm going to get some of that.
Yeah, I think even, the product market fit is obvious because if you look at here, the dirty secret that in January, I'll drive 30 minutes and go stand in Coneflower's line, and they still have a line even when it's cold outside.
Right.
So great things are going to work, even ice cream, even in the winter. But yeah, you see, even look at Dante's now, that they've just started a food truck as well. So I think there's a lot of innovation coming in that space where it's like, okay, how do we take what's obviously working? It's a great product. People are willing to go and sit down and have that. But how can we open up the door to, okay, what if I want this at somewhere I'm going to be? And I think that's interesting. I think as the higher end restaurants and the really innovative ones in Omaha start to push in that area, I think it will change the landscape significantly.
Really? Tell me more about that. Like, do you, as you look at the restaurant industry, do you see it going more mobile?
I we did food and beverage, but we did it overseas, so that's a different aspect. So we didn't do it in Omaha. But I think if I look at my habits, and I consider myself a foodie, I think we like to eat great things. We love Block 16, we love Coneflower, we love Dante's, we love those types of places. With kids, with everything that's going on now, granted we're running a business now, so maybe that's part of the busyness. But it's harder and harder to find time to go and sit down and do that. Plus, now the great places like Clio and all those, like you have to know a month in advance that you're going to go there. Not to mention trying to do it with 3 kids. Like, okay, getting a table for 5. It's just hard. I think the pains of trying to go to a restaurant are going to be there. Whereas if you're in Heart of America Park, or if you're downtown, or if you're at wherever, like that moment, it's really easy to then be like, okay, I want this. How do I get that? And I think the people that hire us and book us are seeing that. And I think it's where it's going to move, because I think we know convenience. The consumer wants convenience. And of course, the home is always going to play a big part of that. But I see it in our habits of just not going out to eat as much anymore. But we'll eat food trucks. We'll go to Trucks and Taps. We'll get nocturnal eats. We'll get all these great food concepts that are now where we are already going to be hanging out, and you're already going to have the experience. But now you get to have great food or great beverages or great desserts at the same time.
That is fascinating perspective. I was actually, you bring up Dante. Like, when I saw that they were launching a food truck, like, this is one of Omaha's most well-known Italian restaurants for wood-fired entrees, wood-fired pizza, and I was like, they're starting a food truck. Like, they've always had the mobile pizza oven, but to have a food truck, I was like, that's interesting. I wonder what the thinking is behind that. And I think you just laid it out really nicely in that, yeah, in the 2020s and moving into 2030s and beyond, I think consumers are going to continue to gravitate towards food that is brought to them or that is in front of them versus I need to make a reservation in 2 weeks to go to this place, whether I have kids or not. I mean, my wife and I, we don't have kids yet, and we have enough time, if we try and book a date with another couple, like sometimes our calendars are already like a month in advance before we even start finding some open dates. So yeah, to just be able to say, hey, let's just go down to X location and see what food trucks are hanging out there, I think there's a real opportunity.
I think people want flexibility, and I think if you look from the restaurant side, labor is always going to be a challenge, and I think everyone thinks, well, it's just going to move to robots. I don't know that may be some aspect of it, but I think another angle for a restaurant is to be able to say, okay, what if we made this a mobile concept? It doesn't need, now maybe you're not serving the same way the 3-course meal that you were going to do that, but I think innovation will come, and I think it's less labor intense to do it that way. I don't see why people wouldn't try it. I feel like it solves some of the problems restaurants have as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that you guys, I didn't realize this before, but you guys are such foodies. Like, you're name dropping Block 16 and Dante and Coneflower and Cleo and Nocturnal Eats. That was a deeper cut. Like, such like Omaha food nerds. You guys are my type of people. Yes. I love this.
Well, it's a small but big town at the same time. Like, and so we spent great time at Trucks and Taps last summer. And so you just get to know the people that are there, and they're amazing, and you help each other and you share food. And so, yeah.
In my day job, we bring in, so I work on an international company, and we bring international guests to Omaha all the time. Now, they know Warren Buffett. They know that we're famous for steaks, so you can go down to Drover or something like that. That's always one of the big requests. But they're always surprised by Omaha gets made fun of. But then when they get there and they're like, oh, actually, the food here is really quite great. There's a lot of great options. And you start to realize, especially traveling in the U.S. and overseas, you start to realize actually pound for pound, Omaha has better food than most places. Now, we're not New York. We don't have 15, 20 million people. But for the size of the city, there are actually a lot of options. And they're great. I mean, Dirty Birds, all these different places that are popping up that are just incredible. You don't get that everywhere, especially the size of the city that Omaha is.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to sell me on it, man. That's what I'm trying to scream from the mountaintops.
Yeah.
So same here. That's all I do. Now, you just mentioned running and operating the Frios truck, not your full-time job. So you have full-time jobs, you have a family, and now you have a food truck that is operating at nights and weekends. Like, I don't have a better way to ask this than just how. How do you guys find the time to make that work? Like, my wife and I, we can barely go to work and have dinner and walk the dogs before we're just exhausted. Like, how did you guys do this?
It's crazy right now, just honestly. But it's a family business, 100%. So our kids really do a lot of work. They love it. They get paid. They're saving up money for college, and they get, spending money. So especially when we have an event that's where we got to leave the truck for a long period of time, Like, I go drop it off because I can drive it, but then our kids man it. Like, our kids did almost all of junk stock those 2 weekends. And they love making tips. They love making commissions on bookings that they bring in. So that's one way we do it. It's not just the two of us. Our kids have gotten really involved and really invested. And before we even decided to do Frios, we had a sit-down meeting and said, hey, do you guys want to do this? Because this isn't just me and Dad. It'll be you guys as well. And they were like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, and to be honest, this thing doesn't work without Liz. If Liz wasn't the one running this day to day, and taking on the challenge, there's no way we could do it because I'm gone for a week or two at a time. So it's at the end of the day, she's the foundation to making this work. But yeah, then we're an entrepreneur's family, so we all kind of know that we have skin in the game, and we all kind of have to be chipping in to make it work. And so it's chaotic at the beginning of the season where Liz's work is not. She teaches at Creighton advanced ballet and hip hop, and so her schedule dies down in the summer, so it kind of fits really well. But that bridge season, March through May, is
when it
tough.
Overlaps, it's a little bit difficult. But most of that overlap is just me on my computer for Frios. I'm doing all the not outside
early
work.
March. There's not as much bookings, but I think we couldn't do it without our 3 kids. I mean, they're heavily involved. I mean, Max, our son, is making a lot of the videos, and so everyone's pitching in different ways, but they love it, and it wouldn't work if it wasn't a family gig.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I was really drawn to, and I think is really smart as I was perusing your social media, is that it's very much, you guys make it clear this is a family business. Mm-hmm. I mean, the kids are in videos, they're doing taste tests, and hey, here's I'm driving with Dad to this this secret pop-up location. Let's give some hints. I think even today, or maybe it was yesterday, one of your kids had a day off and was like, I'm going to see how, what it's be like. I'm spending my day off with the Frios team. Let's see what they're up to or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. And you had a post recently about how the kids, specifically your daughter Bailey, are learning about sales and getting involved in kind of the business aspect of this, not just, hey, let's have a taste test and put some videos up, but they're actually learning some tangible skills. What are your hopes for having your kids involved with Frios in terms of learning long term? What are you hoping that they get out of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think back to when I grew up. So my grandfather and my father started lots of different businesses here in the Omaha area, and so and my grandmother as well. So I just grew up working in all the different businesses, from limousines to car washes to there was a tire company, there was a Christian bookstore. So I worked in every business, and you learn so much. So then when I got to college and what I wanted to do long term, I had so many different, not only interests, but I also felt like I could do every aspect of whether it was operations or sales or marketing. And so I think that's what we want for our kids. Now, they don't have to grow up and do a popsicle company by any means, but we want them to have the skills to be able to do whatever they want, whatever their dream is, however they want to make an impact in this world, that they have the tools and the resources in order to do that. And I think that's more valuable than, of course, technology is really important. They have to be able to use AI. They have to be able to use social media. But to create something and build something, I feel like that's really valuable, and it can translate to anything. So our middle daughter's into food. Okay, let's see how we could help her learn some of those skills so that when she gets older, she can do whatever she wants to do in food.
Yeah. The skills that they're learning in the business are invaluable, like social interactions, how to put forth a pitch. Somebody comes out and they're like, hey, could you maybe do this? Yes, being able to explain our product, and be able to have just those interactions with anybody of any age, whether they're, working with a kid, talking about flavors, or an adult, or at a senior care center where we're passing out pops. It's just been invaluable for them, and we went into the business hoping that is what it would be. So it's turning out well. Yeah.
And you guys you had a post on social media recently about how I believe it's Bailey's your oldest, right?
Yeah.
She actually booked an event for you guys. Like, she was working on the truck, had a conversation with a customer, and that ended up leading to another event.
Yes.
So obviously, and you guys gave her a commission on that, which I think is really cool. But that's great for you because, A, you guys are making more money, but B, you get to see her grow. And have those conversations with a different demographic than what she's encountering at, in school or whatever. How proud does it make you to see your kids like starting to advance and they're not just going home and playing Fortnite? I don't know if kids even play Fortnite anymore, but okay, there you go. Playing Fortnite and watching YouTube, whatever it is, but they're like having these opportunities to start thinking about what what it might be for them to be an entrepreneur. How proud does that make you?
It makes us really proud.
I feel like that's half of our videos is just getting on and being like, oh, I just feel like I have to share my thoughts. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Bailey, we have incredible kids and they just step up time and time again. And yeah, it is incredibly exciting to see them just step up and be able to do it. And I think it's fun kids, just to Apple Pay Bailey $50, and she had no idea it was coming. And it wasn't like, with teenagers, just like getting money where they didn't have to ask and beg and be like, hey, I need this, but just to be like, hey, you earned it. It's yours. And I think that really goes a long ways. And yeah, if it
makes her excited to do more.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about this earlier with the Taste Test Thursdays, but I think it really applies to all of your social media, and kind of what you were just talking about, Chris. I mean, you guys have done the fireside chats. You've kind of done like, hey, we're moving into 2025. Here's some updates. Everything that you guys do, what I was struck by watching these videos over and over again is it's just like, it's so authentic. It at least, or you guys do a really good job faking it. It feels real. Like you're giving your opinions, you're giving your takes. Like even you mentioned, you go back to some of those first videos and the kitchen was really dirty or whatever. Like, yeah, it's nice to tidy up for the videos, but also like you're in a home, like it's lived in. Yeah. I think that there's real value to having that level of authenticity on social media, especially as someone scrolls. They're used to just seeing these curated, very carefully curated post after post after post. How did you guys make the decision that with our social media, we're going to be us. We're going to be super authentic. If our 13-year-old son wants to, run the social media and create crazy videos or whatever, we're going to let him. How'd you guys come to that decision?
Well, those are the kinds of accounts I like to follow. Those are the things that I like to see. I like to see authentic, normal people just out there doing it. So I think it just kind of was inherent. Or just innate is what I'm saying. Innate. There's no way to change who we are and what we like to do and see.
I think I want people to see what it really looks like to run a business. I think for being an entrepreneur, I think the danger of especially with social media now is you can look at it and it looks incredible and people are on yachts and everything is perfect, and that's not really actually what it looks like to start a small business. And so I think I'd want our experience to motivate other people to be like, you know what, I could do this on the side. It would be busy, but I could actually see what it really looks like in actuality. And if we faked it, then what? I don't know. I feel like we're not bringing a whole lot of value. I think I just want something that people will be interested in, and that if they wanted to do it themselves, they could do it, whether it's popsicles or something else. I think anyone can do it. Yeah. I think you just need to see a real, authentic way of what it looks like, hopefully. Otherwise, you get into it, and you're like, oh, I thought this was going to be easy, and I was just going to be cashing checks and everything. And it's like, no, actually, that's not what it looks like, at least not initially.
Yeah. Well, and we genuinely believe in and love our product. So it's something that we're excited about. We love our customers and just the feedback we get. And we have a lot of fun at events, just interacting with people. So it kind of just comes out like.
That's true. We didn't choose to sell widgets. To be fair, we kind of cherry picked. We're selling ice cream. So it does make it easier to be like, okay, well, shucks, I got to go and pull out another one to try today. It's like, okay, that's great. That's what we already wanted to do. So we would have bought. The great thing about Frios is we'd be a customer if we weren't running the business, because it's a great product. We'd want to have as much as possible and have it on hand, and it makes it a little easier to be authentic when you get to try coffee or you get to try beverages, or you get to try ice cream or desserts and things like that.
Now, you mentioned a little bit that you guys were involved with food internationally. You were involved with coffee a little bit. What is your experience when it comes to food and the restaurant industry before you got involved with Frios?
So we met in university at a study abroad program in China, and then got married right after college, like a month later. And then within 6 months, we moved back to Asia. So we moved to China when I was 22 or 23, and you were
2005.
And we didn't know what we were going to do. We were like, let's go do business. And of course, we were young enough and naive enough to be like, okay, why not be an entrepreneur in China? Like, that seems like a fun thing to do. And then got there and realized, okay, this is going to be a little harder than we thought. But yeah, at the time, I'd always had a passion in coffee, but Starbucks was very new in China. We were in Shanghai. There was like 3 or 4 of them at the time. And everyone would talk about coffee's a tea nation. They're never going to drink coffee. But then you'd go and see...
China's a tea nation.
Yeah, China's a tea nation. And they were never going to be into coffee. But you'd go to the 1 or 2 Starbucks in downtown Shanghai. The line would be out the door and around the corner. It's like, okay, something's going to happen here. And so that's how we got started. We were like, okay, we could learn how to do coffee. We love coffee. Like that could be where we could kind of mirror the business aspect of what we wanted to do with a real passion. And so we just kind of threw ourselves in, but that was kind of our first forte into it.
Yeah, we ended up having a cafe, we had a roastery, and we worked with local farmers. So it was basically from bean to cup. And we ended up doing that in Southwest China for 6 years. And then for additional few years, we worked with some other coffee companies, and then actually ended up with Starbucks China again at the very end.
Starbucks, the enemy, a little bit there for 2 of the years. I helped open the South China market, and then we started another franchise company called Torch Coffee, and so we had 13 locations in China, and then we expanded and did roasting in the U.S., we did training in Thailand and Dubai, and I think they still have a franchise owner in Spain, of all places, but it was just fun. I mean, that was the interesting part of like getting involved in a different culture and just the everyday adventure of like, okay, what does this look like? Let's try something new. I think that's probably in our DNA now, and it probably comes through in what we're interested now.
So what brought you guys back here?
We'd been there 10 years, and we were like, it's time to go home. Just felt like God was leading us in that direction, and so we came back, not knowing what we were going to do, and I started teaching, and he started with senior care, and I'm still teaching. He's still in senior care, and now we have a popsicle company.
So let's talk about that, how the popsicle company came to be, because it was last March 21st, so 2024. Chris, you sent Liz an email about Frios saying, hey, I heard about this. Let's check this out. I've seen your reaction on other sources, and I want to get to that. But first, I want to start with you, Chris.
Yeah.
How did you become aware of Frios, and what piqued your interest in it?
So I had been looking for a business to buy or a franchise to get into. At the company before the one that I'm at now, I was not happy. It was not great. I was miserable, to be honest, and it wasn't working. And so I was like, okay, let's find something else before I didn't intend to do my new gig plus this new business. But anyways, we're there now. So started looking. I think I spent 2 years kind of looking at, we were looking to get into residential cleaning, and we were looking to move to Florida and Virginia Beach. And so I did all the dude. I actually got really close on 2 of them, and they fell through for whatever reason. So I started looking, okay, let's try to stay in Omaha. We love Omaha. We don't love the winters, but we do love everything else about Omaha. And so started, and I was following somebody, and they were gave an overview of Frios. Like, hey, you're probably not looking at popsicles, but here's why you should be looking at popsicles. And then talked about the product's amazing. The mobile aspect of the business was different. That was the first time I'd started thinking about, oh, mobile actually is a real thing. That's different than the typical food truck that I thought of. It was an email. We were on spring break, and I don't know why I forwarded it and not just brought it up, but I was like, hey, what do you think of this? It's just like a crazy flyer, like, hey, we're supposed to be relaxing, but what if we got into this business? And that was kind of the initial trial.
And
Yeah.
Liz, your response?
I thought he was crazy, and I was like, no way, absolutely not. I have zero interest in that. Popsicles, a food truck, no thank you. He said, let's just taste them. Let's just try them. It's like, sure, I'm down with eating something. Yeah. So we tried a bunch of samples, and it was the key lime pie, I think. That seems to be the clincher for most people. We got it, cut it up. All of us were in the kitchen, took a bite, and we all went, oh, wow. And
I think that
went from
pop
there.
in particular has started. I mean, Cliff, the current owner of the business, I mean, it's famous that he was a franchisee, and how he got into it was the key lime pie. It was probably one of the most expensive pops that he ever tried, and then he went and bought the entire company. And I think Frios is smart from that perspective. They know their product works, and so the first thing, before you have any other conversation about the business, they overnight you a huge cooler of like 20 or 30 different flavors, because they know that that's the moment that you're going to be sold. Everything else we can figure out, but it really comes down to the product, and so it's that. It's
and that's
at that
why we
moment.
hand out a lot of samples. It's the same thing. All you have to do is get people to try them, and they're comers. Yeah.
Well, I want to push pause real quick on the origin story to kind of hit on that point, in that when you're eating a popsicle, it's typically pretty one note. You're getting that same flavor, and you're getting it over and over again. You're not getting any change in flavor, texture, consistency.
Yeah.
It's just, this is what it is. If you like it, you get it again and again and again.
Yep.
With the Frios Pop, the thing that I found most fascinating when you guys visited our office was people were eating different pops, and they're like, there's actually chunks of like whatever I got in here. Like, there's cookie dough inside of this. There's Fruity Pebbles inside of it. Like, it's not just the flavor, but I'm getting the texture. I'm getting the consistency. So each bite can be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that makes the product super unique, in that, no two bites are necessarily going to be the same.
It's true. Yeah.
So going back to that first taste test, what was it? You mentioned key lime pie, but like, it's one thing to be like, okay, you got me on the product. I would buy this. These are interesting. I enjoy them. It's a whole nother to jump and say, okay, I like these. Let's get a food truck, and we're going to do this on nights and weekends. We're going to start a business and everything. What got you over that line?
The simplicity of the model, I think. We don't have to do any food prep, right? So, our permitting is as simple as it can be when it gets to permitting. We don't have to have, boiling water or anything, because it's all prepackaged. So it's such a simple model. And so I think that was the next thing, because, there's a lot of complexity with having a mobile kitchen, right? So, that is not something I wanted to dive into. So just the simplicity of the model, and then just the joyfulness of the product. Like, honestly, there's really nothing negative about it unless your pops melt, it just brings happiness and joy wherever you go. So, I mean, how can you not get on board with that?
Yeah, and you have no negative customer interactions. Like, the worst case scenario is a kid drops their pop, and
you just give them another one.
Like, that easy. Part is really, there's not very many businesses like that where you can have, it's like 99.9%. It's all positive interactions, and it's just, it's such a wow for them to be like, oh, this is incredible. They're not expecting it, kids and adults alike, and that they'll just come back. Like, the one of the things that's most addicting is somebody will get it, like it tasted Omaha when we first started. They'll try it, and they'll walk off, and then they'll come back and be like, oh my goodness, I was not expecting that. Hold on, I want this one now. And we'd have customers that first time, and now we're seeing it all the time at Junk Stock and other places. They'll come back for 4 or 5 different ones, because they're like, okay, I want to go through the whole menu board. So we wanted something like that was contagious, but it was simple, and it needed to be. Our lives are complex, and we're doing a lot of different things, so we needed this to really just work and make sense for us to jump into it and take the risk.
Yeah.
Your first taste was April 3rd. Your first sale was May 4th, a month later. That is just like a whirlwind for something to start that quickly.
I got to be honest, it felt slow. So
How so?
I wanted to go faster. We couldn't get the product fast enough. So we were, Frios, I'm probably famous within, but I keep pushing them. We had to have our contract signed, and we had to have a couple of things done, but I just kept asking, can you send us more free samples? I'll just buy them. Not that we were going to sell them. We just wanted to give them out. But we wanted to go even faster, and even the truck took too long. We'd already made a commit, like Taste of Omaha had made a commitment to have us in at the end of May, and famously the truck was delayed by like 2 weeks. And so I had to fly to Cincinnati or whatever to pick it up and drive it back. Typically they ship it to you or they deliver it, and so it was like, okay, we're not going to wait. So it was like, I know it sounds crazy in reverse to be like, oh, 4 weeks. It was like, it felt I wanted it to be shorter. I wanted to get going really quick and get it out there, but it might be a disease that I have. I don't know. Liz didn't want to go that fast. I will be honest. That was but to go from training, I think we were in training April 14th. Yeah.
Maybe.
It was fast.
It was fast. It was really fast. Yeah.
What does the training look like?
Training is just more like, this is who we are as a brand, and then good luck.
There's a lot of taste testing. Here's how the truck looks. Yeah, I'd say
No, it really is. I actually think it's really good that we have so much freedom as a local business owner to just really make our business what it is. Like as long as we're aligned with like the company motto of like bringing happiness on a stick, we have a lot of freedom. So
yeah, that is a great aspect.
Yeah, so
this.
Pretty much everything about our business, the way we present ourselves on social media, all of the events that we do, any company that we hire for marketing or anything that we're doing, it is all us. None of it is the Frios brand as a whole. And at first, that can seem a little bit difficult because you're like, hey, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel here. That's why I, joined a franchise. But actually, it's really great because you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So, we've worked really, really hard. And we had the freedom to work really hard and pursue the opportunities that are available to us here in Omaha, and it's paying off this year. And so that's exciting.
It's a great team. I mean, it's a great culture. It's a great people that are involved in it, and not all franchise companies are like that. A lot of them are like, hey, it's got to be really restrictive, but they've just leaned into like, this is a great thing. Just take it and run with it. And they're famous for listening to their franchisees and being responsive and to change and to innovate. And I think that's what we want. We want it as close to the true entrepreneur experience as possible while still not having to figure out every angle. And so they're great at sales. They figured out a lot of, hey, here's how you get things started, but then it looks different in Omaha, so you kind of have to figure it out yourself anyways. But
yeah, and state by state, city by city, there's just different permitting, so you really have to figure out how to be successful in your local market.
What was your first event?
Taste of Omaha. Last year.
Technically,
that's a heck of an introduction.
Yeah,
it was all in. We had our grand opening the day before, so we just invited our entire neighborhood and offered pops for free. So I guess that was kind of the informal launch.
That was literally in our driveway. So
yeah. Then it was the next day.
That was a soft opening.
We started Taste of Omaha, and the first day it was rainy, so it was like, okay, maybe I think we rethought everything at that moment. We're like, this isn't going to work. We're done. We're out. And then Saturday was typical Nebraska weather. The next day was gorgeous, and so we were slammed the entire next 2 days. But yeah, it is it's an all in to start at Taste of Omaha.
So like, take me back to those first couple days at Taste of Omaha. When you think about that, which is about a year ago now, what are the first memories that pop to the front of your mind?
That first day, I think it challenged me to the core. I really rethought everything. I was like, oh my gosh, people aren't going to come and get this. And why did we do this in Omaha? Of course it's going to be snowy or rainy or whatever. It's like the frustrations you have. Like those are my first moments that Friday, being like, okay, all the projections are out the window. Like I wasn't being patient, but that was at least day one of re-questioning everything.
Yeah. But day two, when the weather was nice, first impressions were that it was really fun because we had such positive feedback. And like Chris said, we had people that came, I'll try that, got one, and then came back. And that has proven to be true time after time after time.
By Sunday, it was like, okay, it's clear. This actually, just be patient. The sun will come out. It'll all work. And then we were set up in the pavilion with the concert and everything else. And it's like, okay, great. We just get to hand out pops. We get to listen to the music. We went and sat in the lawn while our kids served pops. And it was like, okay, I could see this working.
So was that the moment where you obviously you wouldn't have gotten started with this company if you didn't believe it was going to work. But until you actually see it in action, it's hypothetical, right? It's like, well, I'm confident in this, but I don't know that it's going to work. I don't know that Omaha's going to love this. I don't know that we have the time and the capacity to take this on. When was when did you guys know when it was like, okay, yes, this was the right decision? I've been thinking about doing something entrepreneurial for years and years and years. I landed on this, and we nailed it. This is it.
I don't think we felt like that at all last year.
I don't know.
I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like that at all last year.
I think my appetite for risk is a little different. I think that Saturday, I think the one question I had, okay, we knew the ice cream was great. I think the question was, how does this work mobile? Like, it's one thing to open a coffee shop and be like, here's my location. If you want great coffee, come here. Mm-hmm. It's another thing like, hey, if you like our stuff, we're not going to be in the same place more than once, or at least once a year. And so I think seeing that on Saturday of nobody knew who we were. The brand is not really in the Midwest at all. I think the closest place is Madison, Wisconsin, and everything else is in
Southern
Florida
states,
and in Texas. So nobody knows about us. And I think the Saturday seeing people try it and it really spreads like a contagion. Like, it spreads so quickly, like where people start seeing it and people are talking about it out loud, and seeing that work, being like, okay, we can set up mobilely and people will find us whether they've followed us on Instagram or not. We see it we did a school event last Friday, and there's other people that have been in the business longer and doing frozen, and everyone knows that company, and so they go there first. And so you start questioning it again, but then you see it just takes a few moments you can see it within 2 hours where a few people start buying pops and they spread out. It was a carnival, so there's like 500 people there. Nobody really knows us still at that elementary school. And all of a sudden, in about an hour, it just changed over just in minutes. And we actually had this cart plus the truck. And we thought, well, this might be overkill. Like, we had 2 lines going at both with different products at each one, and we were busy for the rest of the hour and a half. And it was just a moment. There was a tipping point where that mobile aspect where it's like, okay, everyone's talking about it, everyone can see it. Okay, now everybody wants it. I think that continues. We continue to see that proven out over and over again. And so I think those are the moments where, like, okay, this business can work. The product we've never questioned. It's always like, okay, how do we get it in front of people? How do people find out about us? There's a lot. I mean, the great thing about having great food in Omaha, but there's a lot of choices now. So it's like, how do you stand out in those moments? And we're not going to stand out in the same way as everyone else.
Not saying that you guys have mastered it by any means, because no one's mastered it, but like you mentioned, like the hardest part of figuring this business out was the mobile aspect. What were some key things that you think you've learned in this first year where it's like, okay, we're starting to figure out what it looks like to have a mobile food delivery service?
I think when we were thinking about this business, I could think of all of these amazing events and experiences where our pops would be an amazing addition. But I didn't realize at the time that it's not up to me to make that decision, so having to find the people, find the emails, find the connections of those who are kind of like the gatekeepers, I guess you could say, for those events, or, the PTO, the PTA, the whoever, the boosters, and get them to get on board, so that they'll bring us in. That took time. That took a lot of work. And the thing that really started changing that was just networking and taking advantage of what Omaha has to offer as far as networking. Like all of the chambers, the city chambers and Cinesphere, and so many different business groups that are just so open and welcoming to just you coming and trying it as a new business owner, or becoming a member if you feel like it would be beneficial for you. But that was what really made the difference for me to start feeling like this could be successful, is because I just started making all of those human connections.
I think a big part of that human connection is the food truck community. Like, there's people that have been doing it. Like, we don't have it all figured out, and we didn't invent the wheel. There's people that have been doing it day in and day out here in Omaha and have done the hard work to figure out how this works and how. I mean, I learned from junk stock from Easy Food Trucks of like, hey, this is where the flag should go, because the food court, like, this is how this group of this is how consumers are going to interact in it. And like, I didn't even have the flag out. And I was like, oh man, that was stupid. I was like, I didn't even do that. But it's different than a restaurant or a coffee shop where you're trying to draw people in, and so it's like this nebulous thing. Whereas with a food truck or with us, you actually can see your consumer. They're usually clumped together in big groups, like at these big events, and it's like, okay, let me try some things and see what it does. And you can actually see in real time. And I think that's a unique part of a mobile business. And yeah, learning from other people that have figured it out, but just testing it. And like, we have a lot of things that we failed at. So it's not like we've figured it out even to this day, but you can see in real time, okay, you're kind of naked in front of the customer in a lot of ways. You're like, okay, let's see how this works. Let's try this beverage with it or something, or we'll try music, or music's too loud, or I mean, you're just constantly kind of fiddling with it to see if you can get the right thing to bring that group over to you to try it. We learned, the famous thing is we were so proud last year. We're like, we can move. We don't have a line. We're like, every other food truck you have to wait forever, and it's hard. You're like, I'm hungry, I want it now. So we're like, okay, we'll just endeavor to never have a line. We'll just move so quickly because
we'll
we're
have
prepackaged.
2 squares instead of two square POS systems
We
instead
were
of
like,
one.
we conquered this. I was like, my ops background, I'm like, I figured this out. And then I was like, wait a minute. That actually is the opposite of what we want to do.
If you don't have a line, people don't come up to your window.
So we're like, okay, we can't be that fast, but we can't be too slow that we're just not caring. So it's like our sweet spot now is we want 4 or 5 people in line because we can serve you within 2 or 3 minutes. And so we'll have to, I guess I'm being authentic here. We have to slow down sometimes because it's like people don't see other people interacting with it. And so they're just like, oh, nobody's trying. It's like an empty restaurant. You don't want to go in if the lights are off or there's nobody there. And with food trucks, you're just out there all to bear. And that was a lesson we had to learn. That was a stupid thing that we tried to go too fast and learn the hard way, I guess.
Speaking of lessons that you have to learn on a food truck, there's the whole just aspect of running a food truck. It's not like running a coffee shop. It's not like running any other type of business. And there was actually a video that you guys posted from Junk Stock a couple weeks ago where you had to jimmy rig the electricity. And Chris, you said, I don't know what I'm doing. I just know I need a tent. Obviously, now you guys aren't actually cooking on the truck, so you don't have to worry about that aspect, at least, because that's a whole nother, just set of circumstances and challenges. But how did you guys kind of level up on the food truck aspect of things and teach yourself the things that you needed to know in order to operate this thing?
I mean, it came from the days of doing business in China.
Chris is an operations person. He will figure out a problem.
In China, if you can't say the word for a certain thing, you just can't get it, and you can't figure out where it was. It was before, like, online search was huge and you could find anything. So you just, okay, if I don't learn this word in Chinese, I won't be able to buy it. And I think that same mentality applies to this. It's like, we love Junk Stock. Junk Stock is an incredible event. But everyone that goes there that's a vendor or food truck knows it's really hard to get electricity. That's the one growth opportunity, I think, for Junk Stock. And so you have to, it's like, I don't know how to do it. It's like, I guess I'll have to figure this out and see, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this now, because otherwise it's like I can't leave my truck there overnight if we don't plug in.
Yeah. But we figured it out. They helped us figure it out. And it worked.
And there's great people. I mean, that's the other thing about Omaha, I think, is it's such a community. There's great people everywhere. So you always find somebody that's willing to help. It's not standoffish. I mean, we're not experts in any of these things. We've learned from so many different people, whether it's our friend Jill or others that have just been like, hey, here's how to do it, and have created the shortcut or the secret code and how to figure out some of these little things that you kind of take for granted.
Mm-hmm. There is so much more that I would love to talk to you guys about. I mean, we've barely even scratched the surface on the things that I had prepared, but we're running up against the clock. I want to make sure I respect you guys' time. But before we get out of here, I got to ask you this. Like, this has all come so fast. We're talking like a little over a year ago is when you're forwarding this email on vacation when you're supposed to be relaxing, and now you own a food truck and you're learning all about a mobile business and your kids are getting into it. Like, you've come so far so fast. I don't know if you've had the time. Well, actually, you both strike me as forward-thinking people, so you probably have. When you look at the future of Frios and what you can continue to do with this business, especially as you learn more and more about it, what do you see?
I think we'd like to grow and expand, hire some people. So, we have the ability now to do multiple events at the same time, because we have the truck, we have carts, we have pop drops. So as long as we have 2 drivers, or if it's a pop drop, my oldest can drive it there. Like, we can handle multiple events at the same time. But we would like to be able to do more. So I think hiring some awesome people to run the truck maybe when we're on vacation, or if we end up getting another truck, something like that, or expanding into Lincoln.
Chris mentioned a yacht earlier. You can get a Frios yacht. There you go.
Like if we're really gonna make it, we better at least get that done.
You may as well. Yeah.
Wow. That'd be something.
Can't get it on Lake Zorinsky, but I think you can probably find somewhere to put it, I guess.
We could maybe put a Frios paddleboard on that.
That would work. We'll start baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for us, it's like, how do we get, as we see people really interact with it and see, okay, how we can do this. I think people are really wanting good dessert options that can show up to their events, whether it's a party they're throwing or a corporate event. And there aren't a lot of options in Omaha for that, and so we want to be able to fulfill that. People really get excited about it. They feel like it's so rewarding to do it for their staff or to do it for their school or as a fundraiser. I think we want to be able to provide more of that because people are looking for more healthy alternatives. They're looking for things that are fun, that really make their event really stand out, and I think that's what we see the future is. How can we continue to lean into the experience side of it? Of course, the product as well, but I think that's what we really want to continue to build.
It's fantastic. Well, people, it sounds super cliche, like off the top, Liz, you were like, oh, we see people have that oh wow moment. Like any food business is going to say that, but like that was, and you guys have seen it over and over, so this is no surprise, but that was kind of my first thought when I took my first bite of this, was just like, this is unlike anything I've ever had before, and it took my expectations, turned them on their head. And I had high hopes, but then it was even superior to those. So people, I would encourage you, follow these guys on social media so you know where they're going to be popping up next. They're probably going to be at big events. They might be at Trucks and Taps, things like that. So just look for them. And if you see that tie-dye truck, stop and at least look at the menu options. There's a lot, so many different choices. Yeah. There's fruity, there's sweet, you're going to be able to find something that you want. Follow them on social media. Check them out. Chris and Liz, thank you so much for the time today. This was so much fun to learn more about you guys and learn about your business. Thank you
you're a legend within the city and in the food space, and thank you for laying the groundwork for everyone else to come along and bringing visibility to everything. I think among the food truck community and the restaurant community, I think a lot of appreciation goes to you and just highlighting small businesses. And so I really want to thank you for doing that, not just for us, but for everyone else in the community.
Well, I am always like, oh, now I got to go try that place. So I wouldn't know about it. So, yeah.
You guys are giving me way too much credit. I'm going to start blushing. Dylan, we're going to have you cut that last 30 seconds there. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for the kind words, guys. It's truly appreciated.
We mean it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.